The concept of the Gohonzon is central to Nichiren Buddhism, serving as a powerful symbol that reflects the inherent Buddha nature within each individual. Far from being a mere object of worship, the Gohonzon is a profound tool for self-discovery and enlightenment. It acts as a mirror, reflecting back to the practitioner their own innate potential for Buddhahood. Nichiren Daishonin, the 13th-century Japanese Buddhist priest who founded this school of Buddhism, emphasized the importance of the Gohonzon in his teachings. He wrote, "Never seek this Gohonzon outside yourself. The Gohonzon exists only within the mortal flesh of us ordinary people who embrace the Lotus Sutra and chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo." This powerful statement underscores the core belief that the Gohonzon is not an external deity or power, but a representation of one's own Buddha nature. The term Gohonzon itself is rich in meaning. Go is an honorific prefix in Japanese, while Honzon means object of fundamental respect. Together, they signify something deeply revered. In Nichiren Buddhism, this object is a mandala, a visual representation of the enlightened universe as described in the Lotus Sutra, which Nichiren regarded as the Buddha's highest teaching. At the center of the Gohonzon is the phrase, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, written in bold, ancient Chinese characters. This is the Daimoku, or title, of the Lotus Sutra, which encapsulates its essence. Nam means devotion, Myoho represents the mystic law that governs the universe, Renge signifies the lotus flower, symbolizing simultaneous cause and effect, and Kyo means sutra or teaching. When practitioners chant this phrase, they are invoking the fundamental law of life, aligning themselves with the rhythm of the universe. Surrounding the Daimoku on the Gohonzon are various Chinese and Sanskrit characters representing Buddhist deities, bodhisattvas, and other figures from the Lotus Sutra. These aren't seen as external beings to be worshipped but as symbolic representations of virtues and life states that exist within each person. For example, Jogyo and Muhengyo, two prominent bodhisattvas, represent faith and practice, respectively qualities essential for Buddhist development. Daisaku Ikeda, a modern-day leader in Nichiren Buddhism, explains, each character on the Gohonzon represents an aspect of the Buddha nature inherent in our own lives. In other words, when you look at the Gohonzon, you're not seeing something foreign or external. Instead, you're seeing a reflection of your own potential, a visual affirmation that you, too, have the capacity for wisdom, courage, compassion, and all other Buddha-like qualities. This idea that the Gohonzon mirrors one's Buddha nature is not just poetic language. It's a practical tool for self-transformation. When we're caught up in daily struggles, be it stress, anger, fear, or doubt, we often lose sight of our inherent dignity and potential. We become consumed by our problems, identifying with our weaknesses rather than our strengths. The Gohonzon serves as a constant reminder that these negative states are temporary, while our Buddha nature is eternal and unchanging. Consider a cloudy day. The sun is always there, even when hidden behind clouds. Similarly, our Buddha nature is always present, even when obscured by negative thoughts and emotions. Just as the sun's warmth can be felt through the clouds, our innate Buddhahood can be sensed even in difficult times. The Gohonzon, like a break in the clouds, allows that inner light to shine through more clearly. Nichiren wrote to one of his disciples, Myo represents death, and Ho, life. Together, Myoho expresses the essential nature of life, consisting of the two opposing yet complementary aspects of death and life. This teaching reminds us that the Gohonzon doesn't just reflect our positive qualities. It mirrors our entire life, including our struggles. When we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo while facing the Gohonzon, we're not denying our problems but transforming them. We're taking our challenges, our cloudy days, and, through our practice, turning them into catalysts for growth. The mirror analogy goes even deeper. Think about how you use a mirror in daily life. You might check your appearance before a job interview, making sure you look confident and professional. The mirror doesn't change your appearance, it reflects it, allowing you to make adjustments. Similarly, when you sit before the Gohonzon, you're not being changed by an outside force. You're seeing your true self and, through this awareness, making inner adjustments to align more closely with your Buddha nature. In his writings, Nichiren often used another analogy, that of a poor person unaware of the treasure buried in their backyard. He states, the Buddha likened this to a poor man who is unaware of the gold buried in his garden. Even though the gold is there, he remains destitute. The poor man is like a person who, while possessing the Buddha nature, remains unaware of it. The Gohonzon is like a map to this buried treasure, guiding you to the riches, wisdom, courage, compassion that have always been within you. Some might wonder, if Buddha nature is innate, why do we need an external object like the Gohonzon? Isn't it just another form of idol worship? Nichiren anticipated this question. He explained that while Buddha nature is indeed inherent, most people are too caught up in illusion to recognize it. We're like fish in water who don't know they're wet. The Gohonzon serves as a device to make the abstract concrete, the invisible visible. This principle is not unique to Nichiren Buddhism. Many spiritual traditions use physical objects as aids in practice. Christians have the cross, Jews have the Torah scroll, and Hindus have murtis, sacred images. These aren't idols but focusing tools that help practitioners connect with transcendent truths. In Nichiren Buddhism, the Gohonzon plays a similar role, focusing the mind on one's own Buddha nature. However, there's a key difference. While many religious symbols represent a deity or historical figure, the Gohonzon represents you, your highest, most enlightened self. It's not about bowing to an external god but about awakening to your own divinity. As Nichiren put it, you, yourself, are a true Buddha who possesses the three enlightened properties. These properties, the Dharma body, wisdom, and emancipation, are not gifts from above but inherent aspects of your life. Modern Nichiren Buddhist scholar Matsuoka Hideaki adds another layer to this understanding. He suggests that the Gohonzon doesn't just reflect your individual Buddha nature but also your interconnectedness with all life. Each character on the mandala represents a different facet of existence: humans, animals, even demons, all coexisting harmoniously around the Daimoku. This symbolizes the Buddhist concept of dependent origination, the idea that all things are interrelated. When you look at the Gohonzon, then, you're seeing not only your own potential but also your place in the vast web of life. Your happiness is not separate from others' happiness, just as one part of a body cannot thrive if other parts are sick. By affirming your Buddha nature through the Gohonzon, you're also strengthening your compassionate connections to all beings. This communal aspect is crucial. In today's world, many people feel isolated and disconnected, leading to a range of social and psychological issues. The Gohonzon reminds us that we're part of something larger. When Nichiren wrote, "If you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with your whole heart, you will naturally become endowed with the Buddha's 32 features and 80 characteristics," he wasn't just talking about personal transformation. Those features and characteristics, such as a melodious voice or a serene gaze, are qualities that enhance our interactions, making us more effective in helping others. Of course, simply having a Gohonzon in your home doesn't automatically awaken your Buddha nature. It's not a magic charm. Nichiren was clear. The scroll of the Lotus Sutra is the Buddha in written form. The Buddha is life itself, and his every written word is his entire life. In other words, the Gohonzon is alive with potential, but that potential is actualized through your sincere engagement with it. This engagement primarily takes the form of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo while facing the Gohonzon. It's a practice of what Nichiren called observing the mind. As you chant, you're not just reciting syllables. You're observing your inner life, watching thoughts and emotions rise and fall. Over time, this practice helps you distinguish between the transient waves of mental activity and the unchanging ocean of your Buddha nature. Study is equally important. The characters on the Gohonzon aren't just artistic elements, they're teachings in visual form. By learning about each figure and what it represents, be it wisdom, manjushri, or never disparaging spirit of respect, you deepen your understanding of the qualities you're striving to develop. As Daisaku Ikeda advises, to bring forth our innate Dharma nature, the power of the Buddha. This is the purpose of our Buddhist study. There's also the matter of making offerings to the Gohonzon. This doesn't mean bribing a deity with gifts. Rather, it's a way of expressing gratitude and commitment. You might offer water, symbolizing the pure intention to quench all beings' thirst for truth. Or you might offer fruit, representing a determination to manifest good results in life. These acts help you transition from passive observation to active participation in your own awakening. Ultimately, the goal is for your life itself to become an offering. Nichiren taught, when you chant Myoho and recite Renge, you must summon up deep faith that Myoho Renge Kyo is your life itself. In this light, every choice you make to be kind when provoked, to persist when discouraged is an offering to the Gohonzon, a vivid demonstration of your Buddha nature in action. As you continue this practice, something profound begins to happen. The distinction between you and the Gohonzon starts to blur. You realize that the qualities you've been chanting about, studying, and offering to are increasingly evident in your daily life. You're more patient in traffic, more empathetic with a struggling friend, more courageous in facing a health challenge. The Gohonzon hasn't changed, it's been the same all along. What's changed is your perception. You've polished the mirror, so to speak, allowing it to reflect your true self more clearly. This evolution doesn't mean you'll never face problems again. As long as we're human, we'll encounter ups and downs. However, your relationship to these challenges transforms. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you recognize them as opportunities to manifest more of your Buddha nature. A financial setback becomes a chance to demonstrate resilience. A disagreement with a loved one becomes an opening to show compassion. In this way, the Gohonzon's function evolves from a tool of self-discovery to a catalyst for continuous growth. Nichiren Daishonin's vision was never for people to be dependent on him or any external authority. His aim was to empower individuals to tap into their own enlightened potential. The Gohonzon is his most potent method for achieving this aim. It's not a window through which you gaze at a distant Buddha. It's a mirror that reveals the Buddha within. By engaging with it sincerely and consistently, you gradually bring your inherent dignity, wisdom, and compassion to the forefront of your life. In a world often filled with self-doubt and external judgment, the Gohonzon stands as a revolutionary tool. It asks you to look beyond societal labels, past personal insecurities, and see your fundamental goodness. This isn't blind optimism but a pragmatic approach to human development. Just as a plant grows best when its inherent potential is recognized and nurtured, you thrive when you acknowledge and cultivate your innate Buddha nature. So, the next time you sit before your Gohonzon, remember, you're not bowing to an idol. You're not petitioning a far-off deity. You're gazing into a mirror that reflects your highest, most enlightened self. The Buddha you see is not someone else, it's you, in your truest form. Your task is not to become something you're not, but to reveal what you've always been. As Nichiren affirms, believe in the Gohonzon, the supreme object of devotion in all of Jambudvipa. Be sure to strengthen your faith, and receive the protection of Shakyamuni, many treasures, and the Buddhas of the 10 directions. Exert yourself in the 2 ways of practice and study. Without practice and study, there can be no Buddhism. The journey with the Gohonzon is ongoing, a continuous unfolding of your Buddha nature. It's not a one-time revelation but a lifelong process of deepening awareness and expanding compassion. As you continue to engage with this mirror of your true self, you'll find that your understanding evolves, revealing new layers of meaning and possibility. One fascinating aspect of this evolution is how your perception of the Gohonzon changes over time. When you first start practicing, you might see it primarily as a tool for solving personal problems, overcoming an illness, finding a better job, or mending a relationship. There's nothing wrong with this. Nichiren himself encouraged people to chant for their immediate concerns. He wrote, "No prayer is left unanswered," signifying that when you align your desires with your Buddha nature through chanting, positive change naturally follows. However, as your practice deepens, you'll likely notice a shift. The benefits you experience, improved health, career success, better relationships, start to feel less like endpoints and more like stepping stones. You begin to ask larger questions. Now that I'm healthier, how can I help others achieve wellness? With my career success, how can I create a more just workplace? As my relationships improve, how can I contribute to societal harmony? This outward turn reflects another facet of your Buddha nature that the Gohonzon helps reveal: your bodhisattva identity. In Buddhism, a bodhisattva is someone who vows to attain enlightenment not just for personal liberation but to help all beings become free from suffering. When you first looked in the Gohonzon's mirror, you may have focused on the central Daimoku, seeing it as a source of personal power. Now, your gaze widens to include figures like Jogyo and Muhengyo, who represent the bodhisattva spirit of compassionate action. Daisaku Ikeda explains this shift beautifully. When we bring forth our Buddha nature, we naturally come to see that the purpose of our own happiness is to help others become happy. In other words, as the Gohonzon helps you recognize your inherent dignity and worth, you become more attuned to the dignity and worth of others. Your growing self-respect fosters a deepening respect for all life. This expanding circle of compassion doesn't happen automatically. It requires intentional effort. Here, another character on the Gohonzon becomes particularly relevant: never disparaging bodhisattva. In the Lotus Sutra, this figure is known for bowing to everyone he meets, even those who mock or attack him. Why? Because he perceives the Buddha nature in all people, regardless of their current behavior. Nichiren spotlights never disparaging as a model for practitioners. He states, "The bodhisattva never disparaging's profound respect for people transforms the human heart." When you base your interactions on a recognition of each person's inherent Buddhahood, a recognition fortified by your engagement with the Gohonzon, you create an uplifting ripple effect. People who feel genuinely respected are more likely to respect themselves and, in turn, respect others. Of course, seeing Buddha nature in someone who's acting harmfully doesn't mean condoning their actions. Just as you can acknowledge your own negative tendencies without accepting them as fixed traits, you can recognize another's fundamental dignity while still opposing their harmful deeds. The Gohonzon, which includes representations of both positive and negative life states, reminds you that everyone has this dual nature. Your role is to resonate with and call forth the higher aspects. As your circle of compassion expands, you might also find yourself more drawn to the Gohonzon's depiction of non-human life. Characters like the Dragon King and the Rakshasa demon symbolize the animal realm and other life forms. Their inclusion signifies that Buddha nature isn't limited to humans, it pervades all existence. This aligns with modern ecological understandings of interconnectedness that the health of forests, oceans, and the atmosphere directly impacts human well-being. In this light, your Buddhist practice starts to encompass environmental stewardship. When Nichiren wrote, "The heart of the Lotus Sutra is the revelation that all living beings can attain Buddhahood," he was referring not just to humans but to all sentient beings. Chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo while contemplating the diverse life forms on the Gohonzon can deepen your commitment to ecological balance. It's a way of affirming that protecting nature isn't just a practical necessity. It's a spiritual imperative, an acknowledgement of the Buddha nature that suffuses our entire biosphere. This ecological dimension leads to another profound realization. The Gohonzon doesn't just mirror your individual Buddha nature or even your connection to other beings. It reflects your oneness with the fundamental rhythms of the universe itself. The characters, Myoho Renge Kyo, at the mandala's center represent more than a title. They embody the essential, life-sustaining laws that govern all phenomena. Myoho, or mystic law, points to the underlying principle that maintains cosmic order, much like how physicists today search for a theory of everything to explain all natural forces. Renge, the lotus that blooms and seeds simultaneously, symbolizes the inseparability of cause and effect, echoing principles of quantum entanglement. Kyo, meaning sound or vibration, resonates with theories describing the universe as a symphony of vibrating strings or fields. When you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you're not merely reciting syllables. You're attuning yourself to these universal cadences. Nichiren taught, our bodies and minds will immediately quicken and merge with the fundamental entity of Myoho Renge Kyo when we chant. Think of it like a tuning fork. When you strike one fork, another of the same frequency will start vibrating in harmony, even without physical contact. Similarly, by chanting, you align your life rhythm with the rhythm of the cosmos as reflected in the Gohonzon. This alignment dispels another illusion, the notion that you're a tiny, insignificant speck in a vast, indifferent universe. Many people today, overwhelmed by images of endless galaxies or subatomic complexity, feel utterly inconsequential. But the Gohonzon tells a different story. It shows your Buddha nature as continuous with, not separate from, these cosmic and quantum realms. Matsuoka Hideaki articulates this point. The Gohonzon is a diagram that elucidates the structure of the eternal universe and, at the same time, the humanistic spirit of the Lotus Sutra, which honors all people as noble and dignified. In simpler terms, when you look in this spiritual mirror, you see that your life is not a disconnected fragment but a holographic part, containing and reflecting the dignity of the whole universe. This cosmic perspective doesn't distance you from daily life. Paradoxically, it makes every moment more significant. If your Buddha nature is one with the universe's fundamental order, then each choice you make to act with integrity, to speak kindly, to think creatively isn't just a personal decision. It's a universal event, as consequential in its own way as the birth of a star or the split of an atom. Through this lens, washing dishes mindfully or listening attentively to a child becomes an expression of your all-encompassing Buddha nature. Such insights might seem lofty, even overwhelming. You might wonder, how can I, with my flaws and limitations, embody something so vast and perfect? This doubt is natural, but it's where the Gohonzon's role as a mirror becomes most crucial. Unlike a photo that freezes one moment, a mirror reflects you in real time, imperfections and all. When you doubt your capacity to manifest Buddha nature, the Gohonzon accepts and reflects that doubt without judgment. It says, yes, this hesitation is part of you now, but it doesn't define you. Nichiren offers powerful encouragement for these moments. Suffer what there is to suffer, enjoy what there is to enjoy. Regard both suffering and joy as facts of life, and continue chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Here, he's not asking you to ignore self-doubt or any other struggle. He's guiding you to see these experiences through the Gohonzon's all-embracing mirror. Within that reflection, even negative states become affirming evidence proof that you're fully engaged in life's journey, with all its rises and falls. As you persist in your practice, facing the Gohonzon through doubts, setbacks, and triumphs alike, something remarkable occurs. The mirror that once seemed to be outside you is now sensed within. You start perceiving Buddha nature not just when sitting in front of the mandala but throughout your day, in a moment of insight at work, in a surge of courage during a challenge, in a spontaneous act of kindness. This interior awakening doesn't make the physical Gohonzon obsolete. Instead, it fulfills its highest purpose. Nichiren's statement that the Gohonzon exists only within the mortal flesh of us ordinary people isn't meant to be realized only after years of training. It's an immediate, practical truth. The external scroll has always been a teaching device, a temporary scaffold to help you recognize the eternal mandala inside you. Even as this internal Gohonzon becomes more vivid, you'll likely continue to treasure the physical one. Not because you need it as before, but out of profound gratitude. It's been your companion through dark nights and brilliant dawns, always reflecting your highest truth even when you couldn't see it yourself. Like an old mirror in a cherished family home, its value lies not just in its current function but in all the moments of self-discovery it has witnessed and facilitated. Moreover, your relationship with the Gohonzon now extends beyond personal growth. Having experienced its transformative power, you feel a natural desire to share this tool with others. not through forceful persuasion that would contradict the respect for each person's dignity that the Gohonzon teaches. Rather, you share by example, allowing your increasingly awakened Buddha nature to shine in everyday interactions. When colleagues notice your composure during a stressful project, when friends comment on your resilience through a loss, when strangers are touched by your kindness, these are moments when your inner Gohonzon is reflecting outward. Without preaching, you're showing others that they too have access to an inexhaustible wellspring of wisdom, courage, and compassion. Your life becomes an open invitation. Look in this mirror. See who you truly are. In the end, the Gohonzon's impact extends far beyond individual enlightenment. Nichiren envisioned it as a catalyst for global transformation. He believed that as more people awakened to their Buddha nature, a cumulative shift in human consciousness would occur, leading to what he termed Kosen Rufu, world peace through individual happiness. It's an ambitious vision, but not a far-fetched one. After all, every societal change, from the abolition of slavery to the recognition of human rights, began with individuals recognizing the inherent dignity in themselves and others. So, as you continue your journey with the Gohonzon chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, studying its depths, offering your life in service, remember the full scope of what you're engaged in. Yes, you're polishing a mirror to see your own Buddha nature more clearly. But in doing so, you're also clarifying a lens through which humanity can perceive its collective enlightened potential. Nichiren affirmed, all people and their environment in any society enjoy happiness and prosperity to the extent that its people grasp and manifest the ultimate law of life. The Gohonzon is a direct path to that ultimate law, not as an abstract concept, but as a living reality within you. By revealing your true self, it invites you to participate in a grand enterprise, the creation of a world where every person's Buddha nature is respected, treasured, and empowered to flourish. This isn't just personal liberation. It's nothing short of a compassionate revolution, reflected one awakened life at a time.